Check, check. Hi, Rob.
Good.
Seems like there's got to be a link on that page somewhere.
Sure. But this one works.
Like, how is there not just like a big fat like join Hangout link?
That should be there.
Hey guys.
Google UX fail, I guess.
Hi guys.
Hey,
How are we doing?
I think we're the only one at the moment. So.
Yep. Yeah, and it might be. Ed said he was gonna try to make it, but.
Is Will gonna make it? Do you know that? Or Will is out of the loop?
No, I mean I think. Yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot of responses from him.
No, I have the same. But I think it's important, especially for him, because if we want to get more air data in, he's the one who's supplying the data.
Yep. Looks like Nick might join. Nah, Will didn't respond at all. So.
I see.
I guess for the next one and for the the rest of the month, we should probably plan on trying to engage him a little bit more. And I'll mention when I open like the next Hangout session, I'll mention it to him specifically to try to get him to schedule some time for it. It's a little late for him, but still should be joinable.
That's what you think. We don't know his schedule. Huh?
Well, but it's not the middle of the night anyway.
Nick, good morning, Nick, or good evening. No?
Good evening, Nick. Oh, and it's like a live Nick, not just a chat Nick. That's exciting.
That's right.
Cool. So it might just be the four of us from looking at this, other than Ed, but we haven't seen him on the channel at all, like today, have we? I don't think I have anyway.
No, last night I saw him.
Last night. Okay. Cool. So maybe we should just get started, and if Ed joins, that'll be a bonus. But rather than holding it up, because I think that's pretty much it as far as people who confirmed yes. So, yeah. Status of things. So, in progress tasks. I think right now the list of tickets is probably in a little bit of disarray. Let me pull it up here. Actually, maybe I'll even go as far as to do a little screen share. That'll be fun. Let's try that. Screen share. This one. Yay, cool. Here's what our waffle board looks like at the moment. Looks like it's just 2 PRs that I have open. I think we probably also need to, let me throw in something here about the staging environment. And that's at the moment, Rob, I think you've been mainly taking that one as far as like data and all that stuff is concerned.
Yeah, there's still some issues with backup. I'm working with Cloud 66 to try to resolve that.
Wrong, Rob. There we go. Lovely. This is me. This is me. Do we need to back up that environment though, or can we just like have Cloud 66 not alert us that it's not being backed up? Because I mean, ultimately, it's just going to be a snapshot of production data anyway, right?
Yeah, ultimately, yes.
Yeah. Do we have?
Let's off the alarms on it for that.
Yeah.
Or just not backing it up. So.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, right? Just is it API dot staging still?
At the moment.
Right, because it's here. We have measurements, it looks like. A little bit sluggish, but I guess that's understandable. There it goes. On a whole lot of measurements. So I mean, it is here, and it seems to be working. Like I said, I don't know if I'm too worried about backups. We can deploy from here. We have process servers running, we have Rails servers running. So I mean, this seems pretty good to me.
Another thing I noticed that there is no admin access at the moment. It gives me a bad gateway. I'm not sure why it's doing that. But
Are you trying to access it just via like admin like that? I forget what the.
yeah, you have to be an admin for doing that.
Yeah.
But,
And it's giving you a bad gateway. That's weird.
yeah, but
I also wonder, since it's only one host, if you're getting a bad gateway, I wonder if it's actually just
maybe time management. It could be.
Yeah, that if the server is just going too slowly or something like that.
That's what it looks like to me.
Gotcha.
Is there a default timeout value?
If it's bad gateway, that would be in the HA proxy setup, which, oh, hold on a second. This doesn't,
Yeah.
yes, okay, this has a load balancer.
We have an HI proxy on it.
How many upstreams though? Only one upstream or two upstreams?
I don't know how it's configured.
This shows two.
Maybe one of them is dead.
Yeah. I mean, they both show deployed. No, I mean, they both seem to be responding. I wonder if it's actually the kind of thing that we see on prod from time to time, where you end up just getting a 503 because the servers are processing other requests and don't have enough throughput to process the next one that you're throwing at it.
504, I think. That's what they usually call it.
Yeah, because on the New Relic logs, we do see, like, the health check does get 503 with some regularity, which I suspect has to do with just not enough back-end processing to handle the request load coming in, especially when we have slow requests. We may just, if you're getting 503s on prod, we may be seeing the same thing, but I don't think I have an admin account on that database to be sure, so.
But prod is used by a lot of people in this environment. It's hardly even used,
Well, I mean, it's at least a couple of us. I guess the question is whether or not, yeah, I mean, I think the main thing that comes to my mind is, can we even get into the, I don't think this is going to be an admin account, but I'll give it a try. Yeah, I'm just going to get kicked back out because I don't have an admin account on this. So I'd have to get into like the Rails console to actually try it out. I don't know if I want to do that on this call, but we can dig into that. I think so. The main thing sounds like it's outstanding then, Rob, is the yeah, check if admin works. We should probably fix up the scening. Right, switch to API staging.safecast.org scening, and then sorry, Evadne, you said one more thing that I didn't catch. What was that?
So air data still on the list?
For the staging environment, not like it's not the air stuff is still just in a pull request. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think these are the main things that we need to settle for staging. Unless anyone, Rob or Evadne, have anything else they want to throw on it. And Evadne, do you have like deploy access in Cloud 66 if you want to try updating things? Just thinking about some like the database stuff.
Added me to it.
Okay, cool.
Sean added me to it, but I'll have to look again.
Okay.
He added me to both stacks.
I'm thinking especially with some of the column type stuff that you were looking at, I want to make sure that you have access to play with that kind of stuff on staging without too much trouble.
Yeah.
Which actually brings to mind, Rob, I'm going to put one more to-do item on here just to make sure that there's like some clear process for restore prod data. Does that make sense? Maybe that's not the best way to describe it, but like I want to make sure that like if we're playing around with column types and stuff like that, like it's at least a couple of people know, and hopefully it's pretty easy to just tell staging to reload from prod. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. So, other than that, though, I think staging is probably pretty good to go. Definitely making some good progress there.
Do we have New Relic on staging?
I believe we did. I had it open a second ago.
You set it
Yep.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, we sure do. Do you have access to this, Evadne? Do I need to add you?
I think she
I
has.
have access to that account.
Okay, cool.
To New Relic, yes.
Good. Yeah, so it should just show up in the list of apps here.
Yeah.
That's a big spike. Cool. So I think that pretty much sums up the staging environment. You mentioned air data, which is kind of one of these next things in the list here. I'll take a look at this PR. I think I'll connect this to the staging environment, but this might not actually be necessary now that we worked out what the underlying problem is. Yeah, we probably don't need this anymore. I'm just going to go ahead and close this. This was me wrestling with what the heck was going on with the staging environment and going back and forth with Cloud 66. So, cool, so air data. I have an open pull request here. Were there things that you wanted to discuss about it? Or I know the main thing I feel like functionally that's missing here is the basic importing here works, but there's not a lot in terms of the UI. Like, so you can upload, but it definitely, like, it has to be rekeyed. Like, the import has to be rekeyed so that it has all the database IDs and things like that. The next thing I was going to start working on, which I think I actually have an open branch for, just not a pull request on it yet, is the provisioning step, so that way you can at least generate the config file for the air devices, and then either use that to post-process any dumps that don't have IDs, or if it's like a new device, and once that's supported in the firmware, we can generate, we can pull in the provision config files onto those and hopefully get like good data dumps. That was kind of the next thing on the list. I don't know, like, it seems like we probably could merge just the importing without necessarily having all the UI stuff around it. It might be.
I was talking with Peter about that UI stuff yesterday, and basically we need some kind of confirmation that data is being read from the file provided properly. So UI-wise, what I think we're going to add, which I'm going to work with them on, to extend the PR4, is that we will have a few spark lines, one spark line for every sensor subtype. So if basically one spark line for every different sensor over time.
So you're thinking this would be like a show page for the air import, so that after you upload it, you can see some sort of like a confirmation that stuff is actually up there.
Yeah, at least for showing the actual values being read and will be committed to the database once you hit confirm. Okay,
cool. Yeah, that makes sense. And that actually isolates.
There's another thing.
Because I could keep working on the provisioning step, and you could work on the the post upload display.
We may need to split the provisioning and importing into two different PRs. And,
I was
there's one more thing.
Two different PRs, yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, one more thing, which is that I was thinking about the best way to handle air data, and at this time, in order to get the air sensor box out of the Shibuya office, I would suggest that we store air data in a different table, entirely different. And if we need to do migrations, then we do migrations later.
Well, we don't have any, like, every migration that's already been done is just on the pull request right now. So, I mean, we don't have to worry about any massive database migrations or anything like that, right? Like, all the products still no air. So.
Yeah, basically store it in a different table. And so we don't have to worry about messing up the radiation table at this time.
Sure. If you have a proposal for that.
I thought we had been through this and we established specs. And,
we sure have.
So it feels kind of like we're going over the same things here and here. I'd ask you guys to please read that documentation. We did kind of work on this quite a bit.
Yeah. So what I don't want is to have a state with a point in time where there are two different tables, both capable of holding radiation data, then that is an undesirable state. Basically, what I want, I think, is an intermediate state where air data is stored and radiation data is stored. And they both have their proper places to be at. That's an intermediary state. So eventually we can move towards your design.
There's a big logs table, and
yeah.
The spec calls for an air logs table as well that will accomplish, I think, what you're talking about. Ultimately, they all flow together at an endpoint in the measurements table, but I think that's generic enough where it should work with either.
Yeah, there's some complexity in the measurements table.
Go on.
So we have both measurements and big logs, and they both have radiation-specific columns, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, essentially the way I would describe that, the way it works today, is the big logs is like a holding ground for data before it gets into the measurements table. So when you upload a drive, it basically plucks apart the drive and then loads it into the big logs table. I was actually just trying to confirm some table names here, but I should probably.
It's true that there are a few radiation-related measurements, but I mean they're like all null. They're not really in use. Like
the data gets copied over to the measurements table. Oh, is my internet getting weird again?
No, I can hear you. I switch off my my video.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it goes in like that. Yeah, it's imported into the measurements at one point.
Yeah, I think when it gets approved, that's when it gets moved over to the measurements table. So we have the big logs table, which is basically a mirror image of the measurements table, but that's intentional such that when the drive is approved, we can basically just do a straight copy from one table to the other.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you're using a staging table for pending approval imports.
Yes, that's the way it works today.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then we mirrored that process for air just because it was one less thing to try to redesign.
My question is, if you rename measurements to radiation measurements, how much stuff is gonna break?
I disagree with that strongly. I don't think we should do it. It'd be a bad idea and a lot of work.
But if we rename and provide a view with the same name and the same structure, then nothing will break, yeah?
Yeah, I'm not so much a fan of views, and I think the table is generic enough that I don't really see a compelling need to make another table that's the same.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll know pretty soon. Yeah, I was asking Peter, how should we visualize air data yesterday, and basically we don't know yet.
Yeah,
so
I think the Sparkline plan.
I don't think we understand. Yeah, I don't think we totally understand what we want from air data.
Yeah, but I think the need of seeing whether or not like imagine I'm a person that now has like an air device. I just uploaded my log. I want to be able to see whether or not the thing that I uploaded is cohesive, like it makes some sense, right? And essentially that comes down to like the show page on the import, which I think right now just says like, here's where I'd show some data, but it doesn't actually have anything because we haven't decided what we want to show. So having something there, be it Sparkline or map or whatever, but some way to confirm that like, yes, this log was processed and the data that we got out of it was cohesive. I think that would be great. And I don't think that requires any, like it doesn't, I would be surprised if it requires any sort of schema changes because you can already rely on the air logs table for that. You don't actually have to go back to the measurements table. In fact, the data won't be in measurements at that point anyway. It'll have to get approved.
So, is there a mechanism like from big logs to measurements where air logs get approved and move into a different table?
Well, there will need to be. I don't think that part is actually implemented yet. So literally, it's
so it is not implemented.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, unless, I mean, there's a chance we get it for free, because we do, like, basically bgeigy import and air import both inherit, I think. Yeah, they both inherit from measurement import. So, yeah, but I think, yeah, the process of actually copying it from, find where it actually does the final, like, import measurements, that's what it's called. Yeah, the actual import measurements call is still in the bgeigy import subclass. It's not up in the measurement import. So right now, air imports have no way to get copied into the measurements table. They only get imported as far as the air logs table. But the air logs table is structured such that, it looks like I have the wrong branch checked out here, but it's structured such that it should be copyable into the measurements table once we have the approval process worked out.
So do you think approval needs to be worked into the air data import PR at this time, or can we leave it for later?
I think we could leave it for later. I tend to prefer more granular PRs. Like, I would love to actually get the current PR merged unless anyone has anything they really want to change about what's there. And then we can look to add more functionality on top of it. Because let's say right now we'll get you as far as getting data into a table. It's just not the most usable thing. Like, you have to be sort of conscious of how the schema works, and you basically have to be like a member of this team to use it right now. Nick, you had something you want to say?
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I did make a tweak to the schema. I realized for visualizing the data, we want to pull out fixed sensors or air sensors or whatever by category. And so that there'll need to be an additional column and table to support that. And I did outline that in the latest version of the specs on the API channel.
Okay, I didn't realize there was an update. I think I probably just missed it. Can you?
Which version is it?
It should be whatever at the top for files. Let me check.
I'll see if I can pull it up here. But that doesn't sound like it would be too hard to alter.
No, it's just a lot easier to do it now rather than later.
Yeah, for sure. Well, on the plus side, we're not going to be uploading a lot of data real soon, so I think migration should be reasonable. So
API v2 R4.
I don't see that in my folder. Is that not in the shared folder, or is it in one of these subfolders maybe? No.
It says shared in API.
Let me. Oh, you mean API like you just put in the channel?
Right. I'm not sure how to relink that. Maybe this. Let's see.
Cool.
There we go. I did it.
And I'll put a copy in the shared Google folder.
Okay.
You're on that, right?
I think so.
Okay. I can double check. Hold on, maybe not. I don't see an icon here. No, you're not. Can you send me an email address that you would prefer to use for Google Drive?
Sure.
And I'll add you to that. It should make it a little easier to stay more in sync on these things. Cool, but at least now we have it. The main change is, I'm just taking a look at it right now. I'm not seeing it. Is it the device simple transforms? Device types, it looks like. Device types and device simple transforms.
Right, device types mainly. Simple transforms is its own thing that will use the join table, so don't worry about that now.
Okay. And then where does the linkage between device types and everything else happen?
Let's see where I stuck that. In the devices table.
So the devices table, okay.
Yeah, it's page 5 at the bottom.
Okay. has a device type ID as well as a device group ID. Okay, that makes sense. And is the idea here so that way you can capture whether or not it's like a CO2 or whatever? Is that kind of the plan, or is it something else?
More of a categorization thing for visualizations, like picking out what's an air sensor and what's a fixed radiation sensor to show on a map or visualization. Mm-hmm. It's not so much the visualization for the approvals process, but more of an aggregate one later.
Okay. I'm just curious to see. I see, yeah, and we have this sensor string, but that's not going to be usable as like a categorization.
Right.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Let me, I'll put a note on this pull request. I'll make like a little to-dos. So if you have an example of how you want to use that, like a query or something like that, that would probably help in shaping the test case as well.
All right, I'll get something to you for that.
Cool. All right. I'm like losing my windows here. And I need to add you to that Safecast folder. So I'll do that here too. Did I still? No, I lost your windows. Cool. I just added you to, you should be getting an invite for a shared folder on Google Drive called Safecast. And I've been dropping the PDFs so far in here as well. Right. Feel free to clean up old versions. If, like, you know, for example, like, I'm guessing like R3 we probably don't need anymore.
Right.
So, yeah, feel free to just delete stuff that you know we shouldn't be looking at this point.
Okay.
Since you probably know better than we do. Cool. Was there anything else that people feel would block that pull request? I know, Evadne, you had like a number of comments, but I don't know kind of which of them should be considered actionable versus which were kind of questions. Like,
are you happy if I fix them?
Oh yeah, please. I'm always happy to get fixes. So, yeah, and I mean,
I'll send a pull request against your pull request.
Cool. I mean, you can just commit to that branch. That's fine.
All right.
Yeah. So I think the branch is just called air/import. You can just add changes to that branch. And it has a test suite on it, so if you just rerun the tests, you should be able to confirm whether or not it's working.
Yeah, so yesterday I was trying to get a test to run locally again, and it broke again because Postgres, which is not part of the restoration process when you do RakeDB test prepare.
I think
so that extension isn't installed.
It isn't on that branch. I did some tweaks to master in order to get staging.
No, it was from master. So it was from master, and I can see Circle C and Travis are both passing. Mm-hmm. But when I try locally, what happens is that if you do RakeDB test prepare, it will try to recreate a test database without Postgres, and so it will fail.
Okay. Yeah, I tried to add some stuff because we're not, we're on Rails 3, so we don't have the extension support built in. So when I was trying to get staging online, I tried to add a precursor to schema load and that should actually be doing master at this point.
I think we could switch to structure.sql, and if you do that, that information should be there in structure.sql.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't used that really at all, so if you think that's a better way to go for it. Yeah, so I added in libtask_dbrake. There should be a enable Postgres that is injected just before schema load. That was kind of like my attempt at getting that working, but maybe it's not working in your local environment. So I'll send you a link to the change that I'm talking about, or to the file that I'm talking about. But if you have that version of master and it's still not working, then maybe it's better to use structure.sql or something like that.
Yeah, if you do that, then all the objects will be dumped by pgdump.
Yeah. I would double check that you at least have that task injected, and if it's still not working, then we'll go to plan B. But if you're just on an older master, at least update first and see if it works.
Will do.
Cool. Cool. So maybe why don't I assign this PR to you, Evadne, if you have some changes that you want to make, and hopefully once you put those in, we can consider this ready to merge.
Yeah, that's fine by me.
Fantastic. Cool. What else did we have on our collective plates here that we wanted to discuss? Oh, Evadne, you said you were thinking of doing like spark lines and stuff. Do we want to add an issue for kind of displaying, maybe call it like displaying error imports?
I think we should add it to a to-do list in the air PR, because that's honestly part of air data import.
Yeah, but I'd rather do, like, I don't want to make the PR too large. So that's why I was thinking.
I mean, we need a feature anyway. Right, we need that anyway to conclude the feature. So if you do want to issue, that's fine, but the code will be filed against a PR. So it will be a PR against a PR. No, it will be a branch from a branch. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that part's fine. But it would be its own branch so that we could rebase it on master once it
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'd rather handle it that way just to kind of keep things moving. My concern is if we have like one big merge of like a whole bunch of stuff, it'll be hard for us to have confidence around whether or not we're breaking things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, but a branch on a branch is fine, and then we'll rebase after things get merged. Cool. I mean, we definitely have plenty of things that need doing, but I think those are the main things in flight. I guess, Nick, what do you have on your plate as far as Safecast stuff is concerned? Are you like actively working on just like visualization or something like that, or?
Right now, I'm working on the OS X and iOS apps.
Okay. So not API related?
No.
Cool. All right. Then maybe that's it. Anyone else have anything they wanted to talk about before we close down?
Yeah, what's the background of you?
It's a kimono.
Hanging? Yeah, I was thinking that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Got to hang them out, let them air.
Yeah. That's all.
Cool. Then I think we're in good shape. Then I think let's focus on this stuff that we have in flight. I mean, obviously there's tons of things that still need to get fixed, and you can certainly take a look at the API roundup notes for things that like Joe has brought up in previous meetings and things like that, like the approval process needing some tweaks and things. But considering we have sort of like as Sean mentioned during the last hackathon, I believe the organization has like grants that were given under the idea that we would be processing air data. I think it's probably good to conquer it out and make sure that we deliver that before we go into other things.
Yeah, we should focus on that, I think.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I will schedule the next one of these for the usual first Wednesday, and I will make sure that I'll kind of hound Will a little bit too, because we're definitely going to need some work on the air firmware, and it'd be good to make sure we get a sync on that for the next meeting.
Yeah, that's good.
Cool. Anything closing? Going once?
No.
Going twice? And sold. All right, I'll see you all on the channel, and thanks for an efficient meeting.
Thanks, guys.
All right, talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.